ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for your kind association. We are discussing chapter 4 of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the previous session, day before yesterday, we discussed how Srila Vyasadeva, for the benefit of all of us, he took the one Ved and divided it into 4 different Vedas, and then also compiled Puranas, Itihasas, which are together, Mahabharata, which are together considered to be the 5th Ved, for the benefit of all of us, so that we will have transcendental knowledge. This was discussed till verse number 25. Today we will begin from verse number 26, because from verse number 26 the theme changes. So I hope all of you have your Srimad Bhagavatam in front of you. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, verse number 26 onwards. It is described by Srila Vyasadeva. Evam pravrittasya sada bhutanam shreyasi dvijaha sarvatma kenapi yada natushad dridayam tataha. Natushyad. Tushyad means satisfied. Natushyad. He was not satisfied. Translations and purports by the humble disciples. Translations and purports by our beloved founder Acharya, Śrīmad, Abhay Charana Arvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. Translation of verse number 26. O twice born Brahmanas. So Shri Suta Goswami is describing this to Shaunakadi rishis. Srila Suta Goswami is saying, O twice born Brahmanas of Naimisharanya, In spite of dividing all the Vedas and Mahabharata and everything for the benefit of people, still Srila Vyasadeva's mind was not satisfied. Srila Vyasadeva was not satisfied. Na tushyati. Although he engaged himself in working for the total welfare of all people. He had done such welfare activity by giving transcendental literature, the Vedas, the Puranas, the Itihasas, Mahabharata, but still he was not satisfied. Purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, Srila Vyasadeva was not satisfied with himself, although he had prepared literatures of Vedic value for all-round welfare of general people, people in general. He thought that this will satisfy him, but ultimately he was not satisfied. Verse number 27. Nati prasidad dridhayaha sarasvatyastate suchau vitar kayan viviktastha idam chovacha dharmavit. Translation. Thus, Srila Vyasadeva, being dissatisfied at heart, at once began to reflect because he knew the essence of religion. And he said within himself. So, my dear friends, let us pause for a second. There is a very important lesson here that Srimad Bhagavatam is giving us. Very important lesson. What is that? We see that Srila Vyasadeva has worked hard, and yet he is not feeling inner satisfaction. When this happens to us, we work hard and then we are disappointed. We are not satisfied. What happens? Immediately we start blaming. We start blaming others that this person did this, this person did that. That's why I didn't get results. So the problem is we are very enthusiastic advocates for ourselves. In the court, there are two personalities. There are the advocates and there is the judge. We are very enthusiastic advocates for ourselves, and we are very enthusiastic judges for others. When it comes to others, we are very quick to judge, very enthusiastic to judge. And when it comes to ourselves, we are very good advocates for ourselves. We want to advocate for ourselves, always trying to protect our interests, our reputation, our position. That is human nature. And this nature is conditioned nature, and it is not favorable for development of pure Krishna consciousness. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Amanina manadena, kirtaniya sadahari. We should give respect to others and we should not expect any respect for ourselves. We defend ourselves because we want to preserve our image. We want to get respect. And we judge others. We see faults in others. We point out faults in others. We acknowledge faults in others because it gives us a sense of superiority. Hare Krishna. So what is important here, my dear friends, when we work hard, but yet we find ourselves dissatisfied, we should not blame others. If we sit quietly, think and analyze, go through situations that we have gone through, we will see that whenever we go through this situation where we have worked hard and we are dissatisfied, still we are not getting results, immediately we blame others. Immediately we blame others. So we have to give up this tendency. Srila Vyasadeva is teaching us how to deal with this situation. What does Srila Vyasadeva do in this verse? He is dissatisfied at heart. He sits in a solitary place and he is beginning to reflect. This reflection is very, very important. Very important to reflect. We should not just react to situations. We should reflect and then respond. So we should remember this. We should not react to situations and play the blame game, because blaming others gives us a sense of superiority. We should not just react, but we should reflect and then respond. Srila Vyasadeva is sitting and reflecting. Why am I dissatisfied? And what happens? Because he's pure, he's sincere, he's finding the answer within himself. He's finding the answer within himself. So verses 28 and 29. Dhritavratena hi maya chandamsi guravognayaha manita nirvyalikena grihitam chanu shasanam bharata vyapadeshena hi amanayarthas cha pradarshitaha drishyate yatra dharmadi stri shudradibhir apyuta. Srila Sutta Goswami is describing that Srila Vyasadeva, he sat down in a solitary place and he reflected. And by reflecting, because he had good purity of heart, sadachar, good sadhana, what happened? Because he had purity of purpose. He had a pure purpose. His intentions were pure. What happened? He got realization. He got understanding of why he was not satisfied. And now, this is his reflection. Srila Vyasadeva is thinking, I have, under strict disciplinary vows, unpretentiously worshipped the Vedas. I have worshipped the spiritual masters, and I have worshipped the altar of sacrifice. I have also abided by the rulings and have shown the import of disciplic succession through the explanation of Mahabharata. By which, by Mahabharata, even women, Shudras, and others, friends of the twice born, Duja Bandhus, can see the path of dharma, can see the path of religion. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that all the intricacies of Vedic knowledge are systematically presented in Mahabharata. Because see, Srila Prabhupada says that many times ordinary people are not interested in hearing philosophy. One has to be intelligent to have appreciation for Tattva Siddhanta, for philosophy. But Leela, pastimes, everybody wants to hear. So Mahabharata is filled with stories and pastimes. So Mahabharata was specially meant for the less intelligent people who were not very inclined to hearing the Vedas, or who did not have the ability to comprehend the Vedas. So Mahabharata was written for them. It gave the same message as the Vedic literature, but in a very easily understandable way. That is the expertise of a great preacher. Also in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that without undergoing strict disciplinary vow and being in a disciplic succession, one cannot understand the Vedas. This is very important. We cannot understand the real meaning of the Shastra simply by doing Bhakti Vaibhava course. One should never think that because I am teaching Bhakti Vaibhava or I am learning Bhakti Vaibhava course, now I know Srimad Bhagavatam. It is not like getting an MBA degree or a BA or a MA or a MBBS or MS or MD degree. This is not an academic study. Therefore, we are repeating again and again. To go back home, back to Godhead, nobody is going to, the Vishnu Dutas are not going to ask us, do you have the Bhakti Vaibhava certificate issued by Mayapur Institute? Certificate is not required. Aim of life is to serve Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga. For that, certification is not required. We have to study Srimad Bhagavatam to purify our heart, to go deeper in our practice of Krishna consciousness, and for the pleasure of our Guru Parampara. There is no other purpose. We should not be at all bothered whether I'm going to get certificate or not. In the long run, in the ultimate analysis of things, who cares about ISKCON Disciple Course certificate? Who cares about Bhakti Shastri certificate? Who cares about Bhakti Vaibhava certificate? Srila Rupa Goswami did not have any certificate. Srila Prabhupada did not have any certificate. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur did not have any certificate. Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj did not have any certificate. Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj did not have any certificate. Who cares for these certificates? We are doing the certificate course, those of us who are doing certificate course. It is offered by the institute, Mayapur Institute, and it gives us a sense of seriousness and commitment. That is all. We are not going to display the certificate anywhere. Do we display our Bhakti Shastra certificates anywhere? No. This is simply we are doing it for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. It is part of our sadhana to do swadhyay, to study the Bhakti Shastras, and to deepen our understanding of Krishna consciousness. That's why, to be absorbed in Krishna. Yena kena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayat. If there is a course, there is a certificate course, there is Mayapur Institute name, then it gives us a sense of commitment that yes, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8:30 p.m., I have to be ready. There's a class. It gives us some discipline. That's why. But otherwise, the real purpose is, if someone is sincerely reading Srimad Bhagavatam and is not enrolled in any course, then there is no loss to them. They are very well situated. We have to understand, my dear friends, that by simply studying and writing exams and getting certificates, we cannot understand the Shastra. Please let this be the take-home message. I repeat, one cannot understand the deep meaning of the Bhakti Shastra simply by studying the books, reading the books, and getting some certificates and writing some exams. Look what Srila Prabhupada is writing in the first sentence of this purport. Look at the first sentence of this purport. Purport to verses 28 and 29. No one can understand the import of the Vedas without having undergone a strict disciplinary vow and disciplic succession. Unless and until we have love for our Acharyas, unless and until our heart is melting for Srila Prabhupada, his sacrifice, his love, his devotion, and like that, all our Acharyas, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, how he was refusing to get his cataract surgery fixed. He said, I will not go to Calcutta. That Calcutta is Kali. It is Kali Kutta, Calcutta. I will not go. I will not leave the forests of Shri Navadvip Dham. It's okay if I am blind. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted to take his Guru Maharaj, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, to Calcutta to get his cataract fixed because he could not see. Materially, he had lost his eyesight because of cataract. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, being a Sad Shishya, a pure disciple, a very qualified disciple, he wanted to serve his Guru Maharaj. He said, I have made arrangements. I know a good eye surgeon. We will get your cataracts removed. Srila Gaur Kishore Das Maharaj said, no. I will not leave one moment from my bhajan. Why should I leave the dham? Why should I stop my chanting? No. Because going there, having surgery, being in the hospital means it will disturb my bhajan. I don't want to disturb my bhajan even for one moment. What to speak of several days? In those days, having a cataract, so you have to go to Calcutta, you have to undergo anesthesia, there will be a surgery, then you could not move for several days. I remember when my grandfather had undergone cataract surgery, you could not move. You even get up, you cough, you sneeze, the implanted lens might move. They didn't have the technology that we have today. So cataract surgery means you have to be lying in the bed for days after days. Urine, stool, everything in that bed. You cannot move. Anyway, Srila Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj said, no, I cannot disturb my bhajan. So these are the acharyas that we are representing, my dear friends. So unless we have adar buddhi, unless we have respect and affection for our Guru Parampara, and we have strict disciplinary vows, unless we are strictly following the 4 regulative principles, the deeper meaning of the Shastras will not open up. We can quote verses, memorize verses, write exams. It will not give the desired fruit. There will be some benefit, but it will not give the desired fruit of Krishna Prem. There is a lock on all these books. Srimad Bhagavatam set we can have, but there is a lock. And what is that lock? That lock is Guru Prasad. Only when there is mercy of the Guru will the Bhagavatam open up. Our Shastras will open up and we will understand their deep meaning. Automatically it will happen. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha guru tasyaite kathatahi artha prakashante mahatmana. Also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a story of the Sri Rangam Brahman, who was practically illiterate, and he was told to read Bhagavad Gita, and he was not learned in Sanskrit. He could not read, but he was still fumbling his way through every day. But all the import of Bhagavad Gita, that Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati, all those verses, the inner meaning was manifesting in his heart, and tears of love, Prem Ashru, were flowing from his eyes. That is the perfection. So therefore, Srila Vyasadeva, he had all these good qualities, but still he was not satisfied. So he's thinking that I have abided by all the rules, I have worshipped the spiritual masters, I have observed the vows, I have followed the regulated principles, I have done this for the Jana Kalyan, for the welfare of people, but still I am not satisfied. So verse number 30. Tathapi batame dayyo hi atma chaivatmana vibhu asampanna iva bhati brahma varchasya sattamaha. Srila Vyasadeva is analyzing his own feelings. I am feeling incomplete, though I myself am fully equipped with everything required by the Vedas. I have complete understanding of all the details of Vedas. I have achieved everything that the Vedas are supposed to give. So although I am fully self-realized, I am feeling incomplete and I am feeling dissatisfaction at what I have done. Our Acharyas here explain that the dissatisfaction of Srila Vyasadeva is given by Krishna. Just like Arjun was confused. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava. He was completely confused and he was inquiring from Shri Krishna. Please guide me. Shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapanna. Shishyasteham. I am your Shishya. Sadhimam. Please instruct me. Tvam prapanna. I surrender to you. So this bewilderment, this confusion, this vishad of Arjun was a leela of Krishna. Krishna created it. Arjun is a nitya siddha bhakta. So there is no question of Arjun being bewildered. But Arjun was bewildered, confused because of Krishna's leela shakti, so that Bhagavad Gita could be spoken. Our Acharyas explain similarly, Srila Vyasadeva is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of God. There is no question of him feeling incomplete. He's saying, I am feeling incomplete. There is no question. How can Srila Vyasadeva feel incomplete? Impossible. This is happening because of Krishna Leela. This is Krishna's Leela. He wants Srimad Bhagavatam to be written. So Krishna creates a situation to teach all of us that even a great personality, self-realized sage like Vyasadeva can have dissatisfaction unless and until Krishna Katha and Krishna Bhakti has been exclusively and very directly presented. So Srila Vyasadeva appeared to have lost the clue and therefore he is dissatisfied. Although he knew everything, but he was dissatisfied. 31. Kim va Bhagavata dharma. Now she, with his manan, with his reflective mood, because he has purity, because he has served the spiritual masters, the answer is being revealed to Srila Vyasadeva in verse number 31. In verse number 31, the answer is revealed. Why he is feeling dissatisfied. Kim va Bhagavata dharma naprayena nirupitaha priya paramaham samnam ta eva hi achyuta priyaha. This verse is very beautiful. Verse number 31. Srila Vyasadeva is thinking, he's coming to a conclusion in his heart that I am dissatisfied because I did not specifically point out the devotional service of the Lord. Bhagavata dharma. That is devotional service. I did not talk about Bhagavad dharma very specifically. I did not. And Bhagavad dharma is dear to who? The Paramhamsas as well as to Lord Achyut. Param Priyaha Paramhamsanam. Bhagavad dharma, Srimad Bhagavatam, is very dear to the Paramhamsas, and it is also dear to, it is Achyuta Priya, it is also dear to Lord Achyut. This was the conclusion of Srila Vyasadeva. In his own words, he's explaining why I am dissatisfied. And Srila Narad Muni, his guru, will come and confirm it. There is a similar example in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the story of Maharaj Ambarish. Ambarish Maharaj, when Durvas Muni was not coming back and the Parana time was going away for the Ekadashi Vrat, Dwadashi Vrat, Shri Ambarish Maharaj did not know what to do. My guest has not come back, so he has not eaten. Without feeding him, I cannot eat. And if I don't eat, the Vrat will get ruined. So he thought, and he came up with this conclusion that I can drink some Charanamrit, because that way I will break my Nirjala Upavas. At the same time, Charanamrit doesn't, drinking few drops of Charanamrit doesn't break the fast. So, and then what he did, he came to this conclusion by deep meditation and contemplation and reflection. And then he asks his Gurujan and the Brahmanas, and they confirm that yes, this is the right way. So you see, this is a very important lesson, that we should not be completely just burdening our Guru Maharaj with all sorts of questions. We should also think, we should also do bhajan and pray for realization, and then we will get certain understanding. Like Ambarish Maharaj got certain understanding. And then what do? We confirm it with Guru. So we are not putting all the burden on Shri Guru. So we have to do our due diligence also. Verse number 32. Tasyaivam khilam atmanam manyamanasya khidyatah krishnasya narado bhyagat ashramam prag udahritam. Srila Prabhupada translates this as follows. As mentioned before, Shri Narada Muni reached the cottage of Shri Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa on the banks of Saraswati river, just as Srila Vyasadeva was regretting his defects. Just as Vyasadeva was regretting, was in a regretful mood, morose mood, who came? Shri Guru came. Shripad Narad Muni came there. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that the vacuum, the emptiness that Srila Vyasadeva was experiencing was not due to lack of knowledge. It was because he had not described and given to the world Bhagavad Dharma very directly. That's what needs to be done. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yatho bhaktir adhokshaje ahetuki apratiyata yayatma suprasidati. Yayatma suprasidati. For the soul to be completely satisfied, we have to be absorbed in paro dharma, that is Bhagavad Dharma. And it is Krishna Bhakti ahetuki apratihata, uninterrupted and unmotivated, without any ulterior motive. So, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that without transcendental loving service to Krishna, this world is void. Srila Prabhupada writes, everything is void without devotional service. Shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught. Verse number 33. In the interest of time, we will not read all the verses. At the auspicious arrival of Sri Narada Muni, Srila Vyasadeva got up respectfully and worshipped him, giving him veneration equal to that given to Brahmaji, the creator. Very important lesson. Here, Brahmaji is called Vidhi. One of the names of Brahmaji is Vidhi. Why he is called Vidhi? Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that Brahmaji is called Vidhi because he is very much cognizant and aware of all the vidhis, all the rules and regulations of the Vedas. He knows all the procedures properly. So he's called Vidhi. So Shripad Narada Muni was respected by Shri Vyasadeva on an equal level as Brahmaji. Now the disciplic succession is Brahmaji is the guru of Shri Narada Muni. Shri Narada Muni is the guru of Srila Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva is respecting his guru on an equal level as his Param Guru. Very important Siddhanta here, which means that an Acharya should be respected like the previous Acharyas. If someone has reached the status of an Acharya, someone has reached the status of a self-realized Paramhamsa, spiritual master, then we must respect on an equal level.
I'm listening.
Please, everybody mute yourself. Some devotees are not on mute, so please mute yourself. So this is an important siddhanta. We should not consider an acharya inferior to the previous acharyas. I will respect such and such acharya, but I will not respect the contemporary acharya. That is not a healthy attitude. Parampara goes acharya to acharya to acharya. Therefore, we should respect all the acharyas. So Srila Vyasadeva is teaching us this very important principle. And Srila Prabhupada writes, conclusion of the purport. Similarly, all other successive disciples in the chain are also equally respected as representatives of the original spiritual master. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, fourth chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Appearance of Shri Narada Muni. So this ends the fourth chapter. Now we'll go to the fifth chapter. The fifth chapter is entitled Shri Narada Muni's instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam to Srila Vyasadeva. Again, everyone please be on mute. Verse number 1. Suta uvacha Athatam sukham asina upasinam prihat shravaha devarshi praha viprarshim veena pani smayan iva. Translation. Shri Suta Goswami further said, thus the sage among the gods, Devarashi, that is Narada Muni, Shripad Narada Muni, comfortably seated and apparently smiling, addressed the Rishi among the Brahmanas. There is Devarshi Narad and Brahmarshi Vedavyas. The sage among the Brahmanas is Srila Vedavyas. He addressed Srila Vedavyas, his disciple. So this means that Shripad Narad Muni was received well by Srila Vyasadeva and he was given a comfortable seat to sit down. Now here it is mentioned that Smayan Eva, he was like smiling. Eva means as if, apparently. So, and Smayan means to smile. So as Shripad Narad Muni addressed Srila Vyasadeva, Srila Narad Muni was smiling, even though Vyasadeva is so morose, despondent, disappointed. But the Guru Maharaj is smiling. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that Srila Narad Muni is smiling because he knew the cause of the despondency and disappointment of his disciple, Srila Vyasadeva. He knew the reason and he knew the solution also. That's why he is smiling. We see a parallel in Bhagavad Gita. When Arjuna is doing Vishad, when Arjuna is lamenting in the first chapter of Sri Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna begins to speak in the second chapter, Srila Vyasadeva describes in Bhagavad Gita that Krishna was smiling. Arjuna is crying. He's sweating profusely. His Gandiv bow is slipping out of his hands. He's not able to maintain his composure. His mouth is drying up. His limbs are trembling. And his Priya Sakha, his dear friend, Krishna is smiling. Why Krishna is smiling? Because Krishna knew the diagnosis and he knew the treatment also. So when an expert physician knows the diagnosis and knows the treatment, the patient may say, oh, this is happening, that happens, and then when I breathe, I get this problem, it hurts, and this happens at night, this coughing happens. The patient will go on describing the symptoms. But if an expert physician has already deciphered, has already figured out the diagnosis and knows a foolproof treatment for that diagnosis, then the physician will be at ease. Even though the patient is in great anxiety, the physician will be smiling. Relax, relax. Here is a diagnosis and this is the treatment and you will be cured. So that is the situation of Sri Narada Muni. He knows what is causing disappointment to Srila Vyasadeva and he knows the treatment also. So let's see how Sri Narada Muni approaches the topic. Shri Narada Uvacha Parasharya Mahabhaga Bhavataha Kachidatmana Paritushyati Sharira Atma Manasa Evava. So here Srimad Narad Muni is addressing Srila Vyasadeva as Parasharya, the son of Parashara Muni. Srila Vyasadeva was born as the son of Shri Parashara Muni and Srimati Satyavati Devi. So therefore Srila Vyasadeva is called Parasharya, the son of Parashara Muni. Shripad Narad Muni is addressing that. So Shri Narada Uvacha, his first word he says is Parasharya Mahabhaga. Oh, greatly fortunate son of Parashar Muni. Parashar Muni, very great. He is the author of one of the best Puranas, Shri Vishnu Puran, which is the main scripture of the Shri Vaishnava Sampradaya. Bhavataha, we don't have to go verse by verse, sorry. Word by word, sorry. So he says, addressing Srila Vyasadeva, who is the son of Parashar Muni, Shripad Narad Muni inquired. Shri Narad Muni is asking his disciple, Srila Vedavyas, hey, Srila Vedavyas, are you satisfied by identifying with the body or the mind as objects of self-realization? The purport Srila Prabhupada says that Shripad Narad Muni, being very expert, he giving a hint first to Srila Vyasadeva regarding the cause of his despondency. And he's addressing Srila Vyasadeva as Parasharya because he wants to remind him of his great heritage. That, hey, Vyasadeva ji, you are not some ordinary soul. You are the son of a very great sage, Parashar Muni. Your birth is extraordinary, Srila Vyasadeva. Your birth is extraordinary. Your mother, Satyavati, she had a fishy smell because her father was a fisherman. And there used to be always fishy smell coming from the body of Satyavati because of the association. But after serving Shri Parashar Muni and carrying the divine child, Srila Vyasadeva, within her, and then giving birth to Srila Vyasadeva on that island, Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas, on that Dweep, she gave birth. Immediately Satyavati became very fragrant. All that fishy smell was gone. In fact, she became extremely fragrant, like a divine personality. And therefore, later on, years later, Maharaj Shantanu would become attracted to her. So like that. So he's giving the hint that your birth was not an ordinary birth. The island was surrounded by clouds and mist and fog. And you were born from the semen of Shri Parashar Muni. Come on, you are not an ordinary person. Similarly, we see a parallel in Bhagavad Gita, where Shri Krishna repeatedly addresses Arjuna as Kaunteya, 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 reminding him that he is a son of a very great devotee, Srimati Kunti Devi. So that's why he is addressed as Parasharya, the son of Parashar Muni, Vyasadeva. Please, you must remember that you have great heritage. You have been receiving great mercy. So let us pause here for 5 seconds and quickly reflect, my dear friends. What is the lesson here? One who has received great mercy in life, which all of us have, because we have a spiritual master, we are connected to Srila Prabhupada, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the great Gaudiya Acharyas, we are connected to them. So we are recipients of great inheritance, great mercy. So what happens when great mercy is given? With great mercy comes great responsibility. Hare Krishna. To whom much is given, much is expected. Srila Narad Muni is reminding Srila Vyasadeva of this. You are a great personality, you have a great heritage, but with a great heritage comes great responsibility. You have to remember that. You should not have identified the self with the body or mind. Because when we talk about dharma, artha, kama, moksha, we are still on the bodily platform of life. Artha for whom? For the body. Kam for whom? For the body. Moksha for whom? For the one who is embodied. Because I want freedom from this body. In spite of practicing dharma, in spite of earning artha, one realizes that the calm that we enjoy, the sense gratification that we enjoy is very kshanik. How long does sense gratification last, my dear friends? Few minutes. Then it's gone, it's over. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness gives you a type of enjoyment where you don't have to come down. You always remain high. It's a sustainable form of happiness, Krishna consciousness. Anandam buddhi vardhanam pratipadam. So therefore, Srila Vyasadeva is saying that dharma, artha, kama, moksha has been emphasized by you through your writings, through the Vedas. Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunya Bhava Arjuna. In Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says that the Vedas mainly deal with the three modes of material nature. And by practicing dharma, you have basically taught about dharma, artha, kama, moksha. In spite of practicing dharma, in spite of earning artha in a dharmic way, dharma, artha, and kama, enjoying the facilities that come with money and being religious, one realizes that this calm, this sense gratification is very temporary. Okay, I am frustrated with this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. I want moksha now. And then Vyasadeva ji, you have written about moksha also. Moksha dharma, yes. But you have written about liberation, but ultimately this liberation also is a material concept because it is stemming not out of service attitude for Krishna, but it is stemming out of frustration and fear of padam, padam, vipadam, of the various problems that embarrass us in this material world. I don't want this tapatraya, these three types of suffering, adi devik, adhyatmik, adi bhautik. Therefore, I want mukti. So then that is motivated. It is haituki, not ahaituki. So therefore, that is not our Jaiva dharma. That is not the dharma of the jiva. It is not the nitya dharma. My dear Vyasadeva, you have put too much excessive emphasis on dharma, artha, kama, moksha. That's why you are not satisfied. You need to kick out dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Kick out bhukti, mukti. And you need to talk about Shuddha Bhakti, Bhagavad Dharma. Only then you will be satisfied. Verse number 3. Jidnyasitam susampannam apite mahadadbhutam kritavan bharatam yastvam sarvartha paribrimhitam. Now specifically Mahabharata is mentioned here. Bharatam means Mahabharata, the great literature Mahabharata consisting of 110,000 Sanskrit verses. Śrīmad Narad Muni is telling his disciple, your enquiries were full and your studies were also well fulfilled. And there is no doubt that you have prepared a great and wonderful work, the Mahabharata, which is full of all kinds of Vedic sequences elaborately explained. Many tattva is explained very nicely. Many philosophies are explained very nicely in the Mahabharata. Mahabharata was compiled as a complete explanation of the Vedas, but still Vyasadeva was not satisfied. Verse number 4. Again, in the interest of time, we will not read all the verses. Sripad Narad Muni continues speaking. You have fully delineated the subject of impersonal Brahman, as well as the knowledge derived therefrom, Brahmadnyan. Why should you be despondent in spite of all this, thinking that you are undone, my dear Prabhu? Now, Sripad Narad Muni is giving a chance to Srila Vyasadeva to do further reflection. Reflect, introspect. You have done nice. You have written about in the Brahma Sutras, you have written about the impersonal Brahman and everything. Very nicely you have described the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwaniti Shabdate, we saw in the second chapter. The supreme absolute truth is understood in three features: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Bhagwan is the complete realization. We have discussed that previously. You did not talk about Bhagwan too much. Instead, you spoke more about Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha and the impersonal aspect of the Lord. Therefore, you are not satisfied. That is the hint he is giving. Why should you be despondent? So, see, there is little hint there. My dear Vyasadeva, why are you despondent? You have written the great Brahma Sutras that talk about the impersonal Brahman. Why then are you dissatisfied? Why are you lamenting? Sochasi. Why you are lamenting? Prabhu. So there is a hint of transcendental divine sarcasm here. And also a hint. He's giving a hint. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that the Vedanta Sutra, also known as the Brahma Sutra, compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, is the full deliberation of the impersonal absolute feature. And it is accepted as the most exalted philosophical exposition in the world. No doubt. All the Sampradayas have written commentaries on that. Sripad Ramanujacharya has written, Sri Madhvacharya has written, the Vishnu Swami Sampradaya, the Nimbarka Charya Sampradaya, they all have their own commentaries. And in our Gaudiya line, we also have the commentary on Brahma Sutra called Govinda Bhashya that Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan has written. Srila Prabhupada was a great scholar of all these books. That's why he dedicates his Bhagavad Gita as it is to Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, who so nicely presented the Govinda Bhashya, because of which Srimati Radharani was reunited with Sri Govinda Dev in Jaipur. So he's saying, you have written the Brahma Sutra that talk about impersonal absolute feature. Why you are then despondent? So then verse number 5, Srila Vyasadeva speaks. Vyasa uvacha asteva me sarvam idam tvayoktam tathapi natma paritushyate me tanmulam avyaktam agadha bodham prachamahe tvatma bhavatma bhutam. Srila Vyasadeva replied, my dear sir, my dear Shripad Narad Muniji, all you have said about me is perfectly correct. Despite all this, I am not pacified. I therefore question you about the root cause of my dissatisfaction. For you are the man of unlimited knowledge, due to your being the offspring of one who is self-born. That is Brahmaji. Brahmaji is called self-born because he has no material father and mother. He directly comes from Shri Garbhodakshai Vishnu. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that in the material world, everyone is engrossed with the idea of considering the body and the mind to be the self. Deha Atma Buddhi. Deha Atma Buddhi is an epidemic. It's a pandemic. It's a pandemic. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that one should do our manan, our contemplation, but ultimately we have to get answers. We have to confirm our doubts from our spiritual master. He is the final authority. So although Srila Vyasadeva had done his homework, now he said, I therefore question you about the root cause of my dissatisfaction. Please tell me. Tvaya uktam. I want to know from you. Verse number 6. Savai bhavan veda samasta guhyam upasito yat purusha puranaha paravaresho manasaiva vishwam srijat avat atti guna asangaha. Srila Vyasadeva is addressing his Guru Maharaj, Sripad Narad Muni. My Lord, everything that is mysterious is known to you because you worship the creator and destroyer of the material world and the divine maintainer of the spiritual world. That is Purusha Purana, the original personality of Godhead. You worship the original personality of Godhead. Therefore, you can give me the correct answer. Because you worship that personality of Godhead who is transcendental to the three modes of material nature, who is Gunatit, who is beyond the three modes of material nature. Anyone who is within the modes of material nature cannot give transcendental knowledge. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that if someone is cent% engaged in the service of Krishna, that person is the emblem of all knowledge. That person may not know all the chandas and the Sanskrit Vyakaran, but he is the emblem of all true knowledge. Because the essence of every scripture is to engage in service. So a person who is already engaged 24 hours a day in the service of Hari or in the service of Shri Guru or in the service of Vaishnavas, Hari Guru Vaishnavas, anyone who is serving nicely is considered to be the emblem of all knowledge. And Srila Prabhupada writes that Sri Narad Muni is a cent percent perfect living being. He is not equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is an avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he is a Shakti Avesh avatar, and he is a pure devotee, 100% pure devotee. Srila Prabhupada writes, Srila Narad Muni is cent percent perfect living being. A living entity, human being, becomes perfect when one becomes completely 100% Krishna conscious. Last verse for today. Tvam paryatan arka iva trilokim antascharo vayurivatma sakshi paravare brahmani dharmato vrataihi snatasya menyunam alam vichakshva. Sripad Srila Vedavyasji is comparing Sripad Narad Muni to the sun. He's saying, you are like the sun. Arka Eva. Arka means sun. Like the sun, O Sripad Narad Muni, Your Highness, you can travel anywhere in the three worlds. Like the sun can go anywhere. The sun rays go everywhere. Nobody can tell the sun, don't rise today. Sun doesn't care. Sun will rise. Sun will go everywhere the sun wants. No one can stop the movement of the sun. What power do we have to check the movement of the sun? Sun doesn't have to take some passport or a clear immigration to enter any country. Haribol, through its light and heat. He's welcomed everywhere and he goes everywhere. Like the sun, O Sripad Narad Muni, you cannot be impeded. Your movements cannot be checked. You cannot be stopped. You travel everywhere. You're great. And like the air, you can penetrate. Vayu Eva. Vayu Eva. You can penetrate the internal region of everyone. So we cannot enter somebody's body, but as air, Vayu can enter into all of us as Prana Vayu. Or as air, it can go deep into our lungs. And the air, the oxygen in the air goes through our bloodstream to every tissue. So the air can penetrate everywhere. And Srimad Narad Muni is like that. And previously in Srimad Bhagavatam, we saw that even Srila Shukadeva Goswami was like that, isn't it? He could enter in all the bhutas, in all the personalities, including the trees. So Srila Vyasadeva says, as such, you are as good as the all-pervasive super soul. Please, why he is as good as the all-pervasive super soul? Why Sripad Narad Muni is as good as the all-pervasive super soul? Because he is, as an Acharya, he is in complete touch with Krishna, who is the Paramatma. Therefore, he is as good as the super soul. Sakshad Haritvena Samasta Shastra. Please therefore find out the deficiency in me, despite my being absorbed in transcendence under disciplinary regulations and vows. So many vrat tapa I have done, but I am still not satisfied. What is deficiency? Please tell me. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that worshipping the deity, giving charity, being merciful, being non-violent, performing pious activities, studying the scriptures under discipline and under the guidance of a guru is very helpful. We should not think that it is all useless. It's all helpful. Ultimately, it will bear fruit. One day it will bear fruit. Now, Sripad Narad Muni is going to begin the instructions which constitutes the whole chapter. So that's from verse number 8. So Vyasadeva requesting Narad Muni to find his deficiency. That was verses 5 to 7. Narad Muni inquires about Vyasadeva's despondency. That was verse 1 to 4. Now 8 to 22, there will be the answers of Sri Narad Muni, where he will describe directly the importance of Yasho Bhagavato, describing the glories of Krishna, Krishna Kirti, Krishna Kirtana. That will be described in the next class. We will meet on Tuesday, my dear friends. And I will stop here. If there are any questions, we can take some. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So we stopped at verse number 7. I see one comment in the box. Prabhuji, Vyasadeva was born to Satyavati and Parashar Muni without wedlock. So didn't society insult Satyavati getting pregnant without marriage? Did her parents accept it? Did she raise Vyasadeva or did she hide it from society? So this was certainly accepted as a transcendental union because we discussed it was not an ordinary union. The whole island became transformed into a very beautiful island. There was privacy. It's not like animals. They were so there was privacy. There was mist and fog everywhere. So it was done in a very dignified way. And who was born? The Supreme Lord was born to Parashar Muni and Satyavati. Srila Vyasadeva is an incarnation of Krishna. Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas. He was born. And what did he write? He did not write some novel or some fiction or some spy books. The child who was born became the author of the 4 Vedas, the 18 Puranas, the 108 Upanishads, the Mahabharata, and ultimately Srimad Bhagavatam. So certainly it was accepted, it was respected, there was no question of criticism. Krishna protected by producing all these auspicious symptoms. And most importantly, that fisher woman who had a fishy smell, Satyavati, became very effulgent and very fragrant. That was proof of the divinity of that divine union. I hope this is helpful. So we'll see the chat later, but there are a lot of hands that have been raised. So Sonali Mataji, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. So my question is that we understand that why Vyasadeva was dissatisfied, but we doing all kind of a services and being in Krishna consciousness, following our Guru Maharaj, still sometimes we don't feel satisfaction. We feel very unsatisfied. We feel that we are not doing our services sometimes correctly or empowered to do it up to the good level, or some kind of anxiety is there. There is not a complete bliss and satisfaction all the time. So why is that? That is my
There
question.
should be no bliss. There should be no satisfaction. We should always be dissatisfied. And we should be hungry for more. How can we be sad? Anybody ask, Prabhuji, how are you? Prabhuji, I am doing fine. Anybody who says like that is not going deep in Krishna consciousness. How can we say everything is fine? Nayanam galadashru dharaya vadanam gadgadaruddhaya gira pulakayar nichitam vapukada tavanama grahane bhavishyasi. Have we attained this state that when we are sitting and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, tears are coming? We are not able to chant because the voice is choking up with love for Radha and Krishna. And hair is standing on end. Pulakayar nichitam. So this is not happening. So how we can say that everything is going good? Srila Prabhupada, he used to keep awake throughout the night when everybody was sleeping. He would be giving us these beautiful books, translating, writing, dictating purports. But we are simply snoring at night. How can we be satisfied? What have we done? So we should never be satisfied. Anybody who feels satisfied is a victim of spiritual complacency. There is no question of satisfaction. We should keep wanting to do more and more and more service. Always. We should be on fire. A devotee should be on fire. Once Sripad Ayendar Prabhu was sitting in his room and he was cooking. As he gave the tadka, the chalk, a lot of smoke came. And there was a Western devotee who was walking by in the lobby. And he was not used to all this sudden smoke coming. So he saw smoke coming from Sripad Ayendar Prabhu's room. So he immediately went, he knocked on the door. So Ayendar Prabhu, are you okay? Are you okay? There is smoke coming. Is there a fire? You want me to get help? And he opened the door and he saw that Sripad Ayendar Prabhu was simply sitting and cooking in his room for his Shaligram Shilas. And so he asked, is there a fire? Is there fire, Prabhu? Oh, okay, we are just cooking. There is no fire. Okay. He realized there is no. Okay, no fire. Take it, no problem. Then Sripad Ayendar Prabhu looked at him and said, that is the problem. There is lack of fire. There is lack of fire, which means he said that devotees should have that fire. Utsaha nishchaya dhairya. So that should be there. But if you are satisfied, then there is no enthusiasm to do more. Then we have a retired mentality. हो गया, बहुत हो गया, अभी बस अभी नहीं, बहुत प्रीचिंग कर लिया, बहुत भक्त बना दिए, बहुत लेक्चर दे दिए, बहुत सर्टिफिकेट जमा हो गए, बहुत माला कर लिए, बहुत सालों से हूं मैं. What devotee once told me like that, Prabhu, I am an old fish in ISKCON. I'm quoting exact words. In Vrindavan Dham, he told me this. Something happened and he asked for my opinion and I gave opinion. And my opinion was that you should do more. So he put his hand on my shoulder and said, Bacha, you have just joined ISKCON. I am an old fish. When you were in school, that time I was in ISKCON. So you don't teach me, he told me. Hare Krishna. So that
Thank
is
you.
not a good attitude.
Yeah. But just that, like, is there something that like we are not doing? And like, I just feel that like, is there a reason that like there is so much of a dissatisfaction? I mean, like, that we are not doing services properly or something. Like, I mean, we have to find out that, or I mean, maybe I'm not able to express my
So
properly.
if we are performing our services and we are still feeling dissatisfied, there could be a practical reason for that, that we are not doing our service nicely with the proper attitude. So then we should discuss with our Shiksha Guru that what am I doing wrong in this service? I'm not feeling satisfied. And then we may be able to get an answer what we are doing wrong. Yeah. If the attitude is not good, then it will not give satisfaction. So, Hare Krishna. Is it okay, Mataji?
Yes, Jai. Thank you.
Sandeep Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you mentioned that Shripad Narad Muni is a Shaktavesh avatar. And then also we hear like Narad Muni will be telling about his previous life story. So how do we see, is Narad Muni like Brahmaji, Jivatma, where we say Brahmaji is a post? So is Narad Muni a Jivatma or is a Shaktavesh of Shri Krishna?
Shripad Narad Muni, he is a Jiva, but we have to understand that Jivas are also Ishwara Amsha Jiva Avinashi. Mama Amsha Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So Jiva is also an avatar of Krishna in one sense, but it is we are a Amsha of Krishna, but we are a Vibhinna Amsha.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Vishnu Tattva is Swamsha. So Shripad Narad Muni, the story of his previous life, that is true. Shaktya Avesh means Krishna, by his potency, he invests Shakti in a particular devotee. Mm-hmm. So Narad Muni was a Dasiputra. Before that, he was a demigod. Mm-hmm. He was a Gandharva who used to sing. Once Brahmaji invited for a Sankirtan, and he started singing Bollywood songs. The story is there. It's a Puranic story that Shripad Narad Muni sang Gramya songs. Songs describing the ordinary beauty of a man and woman. Romantic songs. And the demigods looked at him very disapprovingly, but he continued singing. Then Brahmaji said, this is not good. This is a sabha of Harinam Sankirtan. And in Harinam Sankirtan, you are singing all these cinema songs. Cinema song means Gramya songs. Not good. You are behaving like a Shudra. Go and become a son of a Shudrani. Go. And immediately fell down. But because he had done nice Harinam Sankirtan previously, Neha Vrikkamanashasti. So that came back again. So when he became Narad Muni after doing lot of bhajan and crying and traveling, that whole description will come now. When he had darshan of Hari in his heart, then Krishna told him that you continue with your bhajan. In this lifetime, you will not see me again. Mm-hmm. But when the new millennium will start, you will take birth again. And at that time, you will become a completely pure devotee. So that is when he becomes a Shaktavesh avatar. So that Jiva, Shakti ka Avesh hota hai usme, Jiva. And he becomes a Shaktavesh avatar. So not that always he was Shaktavesh avatar, but he becomes Shaktavesh by attracting the mercy of Krishna. That is understanding.
So the way we say that anyone like in the next life may become Brahma, right? We say sometimes. So can someone become Narad as well in some next millennium? Is that
So there are descriptions in our Shastra, I think it is described in Padma Puran or Vishnu Puran, one of the two Puranas, I'm forgetting which one. that Ashwathama, he is going to become the next Vyasadeva.
Yeah.
So yes, a soul can become promoted and become Narad Muni. Also, we have heard that story. How
Bali Maharaj
there
is
are different Hanumanji in different kalpa.
Correct. Yes.
So different souls get to serve. There is original Hanuman. Similarly, there is original Ganesh in the spiritual world also.
Okay.
There is original Indra in the spiritual world also.
Oh.
And then in this material world, different devotees get a chance to play that role. So Ganesh, Indra, Vayu, they are all, they have eternal forms in the spiritual world also. And then to Leela Sahaya, to help in the Leela of Krishna, they come. Or different jivas, they get promoted in those positions. So yes, just like there is a position of Indra and different jivas become Indra, it is possible for a devotee to play the role of Shripad Narad Muni also.
Yeah. Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Vinit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
I was meditating on this purport 33 of the 4th chapter, where you mentioned that we must give equal respect to the gurus coming in the sampradaya as we give to the founder of the sampradaya. Extending this idea, it is we see that there are acharyas who come in the sampradaya from time to time. They're very rare, but they come out of their causeless mercy. But they obviously are in the vesh of a human being, and hence they may not be there when we may not be in direct vapu association with them when they are on the planet, and hence one may not see any acharyas around them, at least as per one's own mental perception. So does one then take shelter of someone who is from that sampradaya and serve them with the hope of getting the mercy of the acharyas? Or is it that without meeting such an acharya, one's life is going to be always incomplete and one will have to come back again and again to complete their devotional, to complete their spiritual progress?
The contemporary acharyas, if they are truly acharyas, acharya means one who is self-realized. If the contemporary acharyas are true acharyas, then we are connected to all the previous acharyas through that acharya, through the writings of the previous acharyas, and there is no loss. But if in a sampradaya we take shelter of someone who is not of acharya koti, who is not of the standard of acharya, then our spiritual progress will be impeded. Because we need a living, transparent, bona fide acharya who can give us access to Srila Rupa Goswami, to Srila Jiva Goswami, to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, all the previous acharyas. But that only a transparent acharya can do, who is holding the dhara that is coming from the top. If that is not there, then we will have difficulty. Is that answering your question, Vinit Prabhu?
We need to somehow take shelter to connect to the line of the acharyas. It is not that I must find an acharya with whatever intelligence I have and then surrender to them only.
No, we need to find a living contemporary acharya. Not somebody who is just designated as an acharya. One who is actually an acharya and who is living. We need to surrender to such a acharya personality. Then the entire mercy of the whole parampara is available to us. But if we sell ourselves at the feet of someone who may or may not be holding the title of acharya or spiritual master, but is not of acharya koti, he is not of the caliber of an Acharya, then our spiritual progress will be limited under such a guru. Are you understanding?
And the understanding of who is an Acharya, this we get from our sadhana. Is
Partly-
like how do
partly-
because my intelligence cannot would not be able to discriminate.
So in the Shastra, there is description of who is an Acharya. And if we have sincere sadhana and we have a sincere desire and we pray to Srila Prabhupada sincerely, Srila Prabhupada will take us to a bona fide spiritual master. 100%. There are so many devotees who are examples of this. Of course, I will not publicly say, but so many devotees, senior devotees have told me that during the deepest crisis of their life, they prayed to Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada reciprocated and gave them their answer. One devotee, he heard about Srila Prabhupada. He joined the movement and he heard about Srila Prabhupada. He went to Vrindavan, but it was already 1977. And by the time he came, Srila Prabhupada had already departed this planet. And he was very disappointed. And he prayed for at least 2-3 years to Srila Prabhupada that how could this happen, Srila Prabhupada? How could you were an Acharya walking on this planet, and how could I miss this opportunity? How did I miss you? How did I miss meeting you? How could I not get connected to you? How could I not take initiation from you? He cried and he cried and he cried. And then in his dream, Srila Prabhupada came and Srila Prabhupada placed his lotus foot on his head. This he personally told me. He doesn't say it publicly, but privately. And Srila Prabhupada said that you go and you take Diksha from this disciple of mine. And, he took, and he is doing very well today. He's a very senior devotee in our movement. So there are many examples like this, where if we are sincere, then Srila Prabhupada will take us to a bona fide spiritual master. But it is important that we connect with a living Acharya. We should not think that, I am fascinated by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. By reading his books, I will connect with Srila Chakravarti Pad. It will never happen like that. We have no power to connect. We cannot understand the bhav of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur sitting here and, into a 21st century and having the lifestyle that we have. We cannot think that, okay, my Shiksha Guru is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. We cannot. We have to identify a contemporary Acharya, someone who can chastise us, someone who can guide us, and only then it is possible. Otherwise, it is very difficult. So we must sell ourselves to a living Acharya. That is the verdict of all the paramparas. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Ajay Govind Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my question is related to the previous class. I was hearing the recording. Is it okay to ask that question?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So when I was hearing the lecture, we were talking about, this is in reference to the 14th verse of the previous chapter, the 4th one, where it is talking about the flipping of the millennium, Prabhuji. Like, it says that the order is Satya, Dwapar, Treta, and Kali. And then, during the regime of Vaibhava Manu, there was an overlapping. And then it says that the 4th millennium and the 3rd millennium appeared prior to the 2nd. So if the millennium is changing,
the 2nd and the 3rd millennium were interchanged, not the 4th.
Yeah, out of the 4th, the 3rd millennium appeared prior to 2nd.
Huh.
So when like we say that, in each age there's a deterioration. So the age decreases, the power or potencies decreases. So when this was flipping, like it was like in the 2nd millennium, the power was less and age was less, the height was less, and in the 3rd one it increased again, and then 4th was like Kali Yuga, or it was just the name change, and rest of the things, potencies remain the same because the duration also changes, right? The Satya Yuga is longest, then is Dwapar, then Treta. So the duration of the Yuga is also changing. I was just thinking, a little confused on that. Do you have any, how do we understand that?
My understanding is, Prabhuji, that based on what I have read, and someone can correct me if you know otherwise, that the duration was the same, remained same. So the yuga that came second was the second longest after Satyayug. The yuga that came third, which is Dwapar Yuga, had the duration of twice Kali Yuga, like
Okay.
that. So the second yuga was longer than the third yuga. Not that the second yuga was short and the third yuga was long.
Mhm.
So, and then the deteriorating effect also was how it normally happens. In Satyayug, almost 100% devotees were pious, population was pious. In Treta Yuga, it dropped down from 75 to 50%. In Dwapar Yuga, it dropped from 50 to 25. Kali Yuga starts with 25. And by the end of Kali Yuga, it will practically go to nil, zero, like that. Satyayuga is 100 to 75%
Right.
of people who are pious.
So the sequence changing is a name change, but the rest of the things were the same order as they were existing otherwise.
Yes, Prabhu, that is yes, that is how I understood it. Yes, because we see in this particular Divya Yuga cycle, when Lord Ramachandra was there, it was like the duration after Satyayuga, and the Yuga Dharma also was the same. Yajna, Lord Ramachandra did Yajna, whereas in Dwapar Yuga it was deity worship. Vajranab established so many deities and like that. So Dwapar Yuga was deity worship, and Kali Yuga is Harinam Sankirtan. So even though the names, only the names are changing as far as my understanding is concerned.
Okay.
But the Yuga Dharmas are remaining the same.
About Prabhu, the age of the people, people who were living like
that also.
100, that's also same thing.
Yes. What is it? It's I think 100,000 in Satyayug.
10,000.
10,000 in Treta Yuga.
Yes.
And Dwapar Yuga 1,000.
1,000.
Kali Yuga 100. That also was like that only. Maximum in Satyayug, like that.
Then what is the purpose, Prabhu, for switching?
That was not clear, Mataji, and in the purport of the Srila Prabhupada doesn't elaborate on that.
Okay.
But it looks like just a name change.
Okay.
I didn't understand it myself.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Divya Mataji and then Kalindi Priti Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I had two questions. One is Satyavati Devi, I mean, if she was a fisherwoman, what qualification she had that she appeared from her? If she was a fisherwoman, probably they are fishing and they're eating fish. So I'm just wondering, like, how did such a great sage appear from her womb? And my second question is that because of the kind of a lifestyle I have, it is so stressful that minute I take chanting bead in my hand, I fall asleep. So how to counteract that, the bodily fatigue and stress, and then the minute I take chanting bead, I'm actually sleeping. So yeah.
So regarding the first question, Krishna's Leela is always very Vichitra Leela. He performs very inconceivable Leelas. Everything that Krishna does is not easy to understand. And to a demon like Hiranyakashipu, a saintly son like Prahlad Maharaj is born. And then a saintly person like Prahlad gives rise to a demon called Virochan. A demon like Virochan gives birth to a Mahabhagavat Mahajan devotee, Bali Maharaj. You see? So this is inconceivable. And Hiranyakashipu is son of Kashyap Muni, who is a great devotee. So these are inconceivable things. But what we can learn from this is that nobody is condemned. Nobody is condemned. Someone may be in a fisherman family. They're doing it for livelihood. They may be just doing it out of ignorance because they don't know anything better. But that doesn't mean that Krishna does not love them or Krishna will not give them their mercy. That is what we can learn from this incident. That is the first one. That Krishna doesn't follow stereotypes. Second, regarding falling asleep as soon as we put our hand in Japamala, in the bead bag. your situation is very unique, Mataji, and I know your situation. So you just do the best you can. You fix a number of rounds, either it is 2 rounds or 4 rounds. Those you do exclusively attentively when you are fresh. As soon as you wake up, before your household duties start, you can keep 15 minutes aside, and 15 minutes with attention you sit, close your eyes, and just you think of Radha and Krishna and you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And slowly increase that to 16 rounds. But 16 rounds we must chant with focus. Unless we do that, no matter how much work we are doing, no matter how hectic lifestyle we have, our service will not carry the spiritual potency. And if our service is not carrying spiritual potency, then we will not be able to positively affect our loved ones. To make a positive difference in the lives of our loved ones, we need to carry some Bhakti Shakti. We need to carry some spiritual potency. And that potency comes from bhajan. So for us to be able to take better care of our loved ones, we have to do better bhajan. This is a siddhanta. This is a conclusion, philosophical conclusion. There is no doubt about this. One may be working very hard for one's family and for one's loved ones, but unless one has the foundation of good spiritual practice, our service to our loved ones will not carry the spiritual potency. It will carry material potency, but it will not carry spiritual potency. Therefore, we must have sadhana, good sadhana. Is that okay, Divya Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Kalindi
Krishna.
Priti Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, my daughter has a question. Can she ask, Prabhuji?
Yes. What is your daughter's name?
Sananda, Prabhuji. Sananda.
Sananda. Hare Krishna, Sananda.
Krishna Prabhuji. So I had a question that, like, in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.2.20, Srila Prabhupada, he says that because like Krishna killed Shishupala merged into Krishna. But then my question was that before, like, all the life, Shishupala and Dantavakra, they were Jay and Vijay. So then how did he merge into Krishna and then again take birth as Jaga and Mother?
Yes. So even Hiranyakashipu, when Hiranyakashipu was killed by Sri Narasimha Bhagwan, and Prahlad Maharaj requested that please give mukti to my father. What did Sri Narasimha Dev say? He said that yes, your father is liberated. But then that liberated Hiranyakashipu again came as Ravan. Then when Lord Ramachandra killed Ravan with his own arrow, again our Acharyas explain that Ravan also became liberated because he died in front of Lord Ramachandra. He died by the arrow. He died with Ramban in his chest. What auspicious death. So he also got liberated. But then again that Ravan came as Shishupal. Isn't it? Kumbhakaran also was killed by Ram and liberated, but he came as Dantavakra. How do we understand? That simply becoming liberated does not guarantee that we will not come back. Therefore, it is said that it is possible to fall down from the Brahma Jyoti. Ye anya arvindaksha vimukta maninas toyashta bhavad avishuddha buddhaya aruya krachena param padam tata patanti adho anadrat yashmadangraya. So they fell down because again and again because they were cursed. They had the curse, so they fell down. As far as Shishupal is concerned, Shishupal was killed by the Sudarshan Chakra of Krishna, and his soul came and entered the lotus foot of Shri Krishna in full view of everyone, including Shripad Narad Muni and Yudhishthir Maharaj. So why did he come? Now the fourth time when they came, Jaya and Vijay came as Jagai Madai, it was not part of the curse. But Shri Vishnu Puran describes that when Hiranyakashipu was killed by Shri Narasimhadev, he was in shock. Who is this weird creature? He's half man, half lion. I have protection. So much protection I have asked from Brahmaji. Animal will not kill me. This will not. But this is half man, half lion. He's neither man nor lion. And he's killing me. So Narasimhadev Bhagwan killed Hiranyakashipu pretty quickly. And it came as a shock to Hiranyakashipu. But he could not develop his love for Bhagwan. When he came as Ravan, when the Ramban hit him, some regret came in the heart of Ravan. Vishnu Puran describes this. Some regret came in the heart of Ravan that, oh, I should not have I should not have abducted Sita. So when Ravan fell down from the chariot, Lord Ramachandra quickly told Vibhishan, go to your brother. He told Lakshman, go to Ravan, and he's a dying man. A dying man generally doesn't lie. So ask him one question. What is the best thing you have learned in life? So Lakshmanji went to Ravan and asked him as Ravan was dying, Ravan, what is the best thing you have learned? It is at that time that Ravan spoke the famous verse, which we repeat as a proverb in Sanskrit, that Shubhasya Shighram. We say that whatever is auspicious, do it quickly. Don't wait for a Murta. If something good has to be done, do it quickly. And if something bad has to be done, delay it as much as possible. Ravan spoke these words. He said, I had a desire to abduct Sita. It was a bad thing. I should have delayed it. So many people told me I should return Sita to Ram. And in some corner of my heart, I considered that proposal. Should I give her back to Ram? That is the right thing to do. But I said, no, I will fight. So Ravan's conclusion was, if a good thought comes, do it immediately. Because you never know when your fickle mind will change. So when a good thought comes, act on it immediately. When a bad thought comes, postpone it as much as you can. This famous words Ravan spoke. So Ravan developed some guilt, but he didn't get pure bhakti. Now, when Shishupal came, that Ravan came as Shishupal, he had a benediction that Krishna gave him a benediction that I will forgive 99 apradhs, 99 offenses against me. So Shishupal had a mala, japa mala. We have 108, he had 99. And he would count how many times he's insulting Krishna. And he would stop at 99. He would keep the bead, one mala he would do. Then he would go take a break. Again, he would come and he would do a mala of 99. Criticizing Krishna 99 times. But in the Rajasuya Yajna, when Krishna was given the Agra Puja, he was given the highest respect, Shishupal could not take it. And he got carried away. He chanted extra round. He got carried away and he could not stop at 99. He forgot the count. He kept criticizing Krishna. So Krishna releases Sudarshan Chakra to kill him. Shri Vishnu Puran describes this, and Srila Prabhupada's disciple, His Grace Mukundatta Prabhu from Vrindavan, when he came to Atlanta, he narrated this story from Vishnu Puran, what I'm telling you. He said in Vishnu Puran it is described, he's a great Sanskrit scholar, Mukundatta Prabhu. He works for BBT also, Sanskrit editor, trained by Gopi Pranthan Prabhu. Very great, Shripad Mukundatta Prabhu. So he said that in Vishnu Puran it is described the details of how Shishupal died. So Krishna was sitting on the throne being worshipped by everyone. Bhishma Dev was glorifying Krishna that you are the greatest brahmachari. All this was going on and Shishupal could not tolerate because his bride Rukmini was taken away by Krishna. So he said, how can this Krishna be glorified like this? He started blaspheming Krishna. And Vishnu Puran describes that for every blasphemy, Shishupal was saying, Krishna, you did this. Keshav, you did this. Janardhan, do you know you are guilty of this? For every time he was chanting a name of Krishna. And Vishnu Puran describes that with each blasphemy, he was taking one name of Krishna. Sham Sundar, you did this. Govinda, you have done that. And Gopal, you have done. You are Gopal, but you call yourself Kshatriya. He was criticizing like this. You are Gopal, you are a caretaker of cows, but you are sitting on the throne like a Kshatriya. So as Shishupal was criticizing Krishna more than 100 times, with every criticism, he was chanting a name of Krishna. So Vishnu Puran describes because of chanting Krishna Naam, his heart was getting purified. And when 100 times he took the name of Krishna, his heart actually started developing love for Krishna. Actually, Krishna Prem started arising in his heart. And that's when Krishna released Sudarshan Chakra. So because he was chanting Krishna Naam, although with anger, he was getting purified, and ultimately the fruit of Naam Bhajan is Krishna Prem. That Krishna Prem was sprouting in his heart when his neck was cut off by the Sudarshan Chakra. So then it is described, this is not in Vishnu Puran, but our Acharyas explain, I have heard this, that then Shishupal, he petitioned Krishna that I am purified now, the curse is over, I am purified, but I could not do any devotional service. Now give me one more chance where I want to do service to you. Both of us, we want to do, Jai Vijay said, we want to do service to you. 3 times we took birth, we simply fought with you, we simply tried to destroy you. But now we want to do some service, substantial service. So then Krishna says, very soon in Kali Yuga, I will come as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And my mission will be to spread the glories of the holy name. And I will spread the glories of the holy name through both of you. Initially, both of you will be the most sinful people. But by the power of the holy name, you will be transformed. And then you will chant 128 rounds every day, 2 lakh every day. You will chant. And you will, through you, I will spread the glory of Krishna Nam, the glory of holy name all over the world. And see, even today, on Nityanand Trayodasi and Gaur Purnima, what is the most common drama we enact? Jagai Madai. They are helping in so much preaching, Jagai Madai. All the new devotees who come, they are attracted by Jagai Madai story, isn't it? So therefore, they asked for this birth. Shishupal asked that I want one more birth. I want to serve you in your Leela. And therefore they came as Jagai Madai. Is that okay, beta?
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in that context only, Prabhu, another person asked me that, so Shishupala, in that Rajasuya Yajna, Shishupala, Krishna killed, right? So Shishupala soul, I think, merged into Krishna's body. So that person asked me, like, we cannot see the soul, right? Nobody can see the soul. Then how come everybody can see the soul? Shishupala's soul merging into Krishna's body.
Everybody saw because Krishna allowed them to. Krishna gives this ability. Like Krishna gave ability to Arjuna to see Vishwarup. Okay. So if Krishna wants to give ability, then we can see. So Krishna gave them the ability to see. So they could understand that now he is liberated.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
And
Prabhuji,
then
I have one question. Sorry, Prabhuji. I have another question, Prabhuji. Now, Prabhuji, regarding sadhana and duty, women duty at home. So after hearing lectures, and sometimes we'll get so much inspiration, and we want to increase more sadhana, more reading, more chanting, more hearing, more and more. So that is highest, right, Prabhuji? So in that, like performing, like taking care of kids and taking care of family, and then that is also very important. So in that, how can we balance, Prabhuji?
Srila Prabhupada has said 16 rounds minimum. So we do that as a minimum. And then in consultation with our Gurudev, or if Gurudev is not easily accessible, then Shiksha Guru, we try to increase our rounds, 18 rounds, 20 rounds, and we fix that. And that we wake up in the morning, and before our household duties begin, typically our duties begin at 6:30, 7 o'clock. Before that, we should finish our Sankhya, our chanting, whether it is 16 rounds or 18 rounds or 20 or whatever it is. We chant it before in the morning during Brahma Muhurta, and then we are available for the whole family. And we should see that ultimately Krishna is in everyone's heart. He's in the heart of our family members also. And by serving them, we are serving Krishna. So we should have that Bhagavad Bhav in all the family members, that they are also Amsha of Krishna. And serving them is not just serving some stone. I am serving Krishna. And my family members are also parts of Krishna. So that is also devotional service. And whenever we get time, we should read Srila Prabhupada's books. When we are cooking, we should put some katha. We should hear Hari Katha. But we should not compromise on our duty to our family members. Now at this stage, we should do that. And then a time will come when the kids will grow up, and then we will have more time for bhajan. Then we can lead a retired life like Vanaprastha. And then there is more and more time for Krishna. Krishna will give that ability to us if we are sincere. So we should fix a minimum sadhana that we should do in the morning before 6:30, 7 o'clock. And then whole day we are available for our duties. And in the daytime, whenever we get time, we can chant extra rounds. We can hear Hari Katha. We can read Srila Prabhupada's books like that. We should have a schedule. Afternoon little bit, like that. Okay.
Well, I have a follow-up question on this. Should I ask later or I ask now?
You can ask now, Prabhu.
So, Prabhu, what Mataji is saying on the same extension that, I have heard that, Arjuna was not chanting. He was doing the execution of order, which was considered, he was chanting on the battlefield. That's what we have heard in in lectures from our Acharya. So, how do we take that, and then in Shiksha Ashtakam also, the shloka is there that there are no hard and fast rules for chanting the names of the Lord. So how do these two go with what you are saying? Like, we do the prescribed round in the morning. If we are doing in morning, then there are rules, right? And then Arjun was not even chanting. So how he was still a devotee being onto the battlefield, and why somebody else cannot be? Like,
so there are no hard and fast rules for chanting, but that does not mean there are no rules only. There are no hard and fast rules, but there are rules. So there are no hard and fast rules means khaite shuite yathatha naam le deshkal niyam nahi sarva siddhi hai. As Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita describes, khaite shuite, while eating, while sleeping, chalite phirite yathatha naam le. Whatever you are doing, you keep chanting. Deshkal niyam nahi sarva siddhi hai. You can chant it in any desh, any place. You can chant in the bathroom also. You can chant in the office also. So desh niyam nahi and kal niyam nahi. Desh kal niyam nahi sarva siddhi hai. Kal niyam nahi. You can chant at midnight. You can chant at 5 o'clock in the morning. You can chant in the afternoon. So desh kal niyam nahi. So that is to do naam. But rules are there for japa.
oh, okay.
नाम नामकारी बहुधा निज सर्वति तत्रार्पिता नियमित स्मरणे न काला. नाम स्मरण के लिए कोई नियम नहीं है. नाम स्मरण कभी भी कर सकते हैं. We can remember and chant the name anytime. No rules and regulations. But japa is a yajna. Yajnanam japa yajñosmi. So the rules and regulations that are there, they are for japa. Japa is a yajna. So one has to sit and chant properly in the morning Brahma Murta. Krishna says in Gita, na, yajnanam japa yajñosmi. So those rules are there for japa. But for chanting the holy name, there are no rules. You can chant anytime. What was the other question you said? One was
like Arjun is in the battlefield and
Arjun,
not chanting, and that is also considered as like,
yeah. So that is because Arjun is a Rajarshi. And a Rajarshi is very pure. So if we have the pure love like Krishna, when Arjun would sleep, from every pore of his body, Krishna, 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 Krishna would emanate. So if that is happening to us, then we also don't have to take a mala in the hand. But we are not on the pure platform of Arjun. Arjun is a very great Parshad of Krishna, who told Krishna, Krishna, I will never come back with you to Golok Vrindavan. Every time you come in this material world, I will come with you to assist you in your Leela, to kill the demons. So Arjun never goes home back to Godhead. He's always in the material world. At least that is his vow. That is his seva bhav. Imagine that. You are telling Krishna, Krishna, I don't want to go back to Godhead. I will serve you in this material world. I will struggle. Whatever you want me to do, I will do. So that is a great dedication of Arjun. But we are not on that platform. So therefore, we should chant on the mala. That will give purity to our karma, our activities.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, is there some reference of other rules for chanting also?
Which rules?
And the rules, like you said, are there for japa. Like
Hari Bhakti Vilas.
Hari Bhakti Vilas. Okay.
Hari Bhakti Vilas mein hai. You have Hari Bhakti Vilas?
Yes, Prabhuji, I have.
Hari Bhakti Vilas mein pura diya hai. For Harinam, Japa, and for Gayatri, both.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So last question, Amrit Karan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Dandavat Pranam.
You are inspiring me and ourselves a lot. Thank you so much. Actually, Parasar Muni, he was liberated personality, Srila, father of Srila Vyasadeva. And he actually is Trikalak. He realized that the particular time is very auspicious time to marry Satyavati, and then Vyasadeva appeared. But actually, for ISKCON devotees and for all over the world, also different kind of marriage ceremonies going on now. But particularly, I am asking you for ISKCON devotees. Prabhupada recommended some process of marriage ceremony, like different kind of marriage ceremony. Can you explain a little bit?
Marriage ceremony?
Yeah, that Parasar Muni he married Satyavati, but now the wedding ceremony is different way is done. But what is specially recommended by Srila Prabhupada in ISKCON for ISKCON devotees?
Srila Prabhupada, actually the sannyasis traditionally they never get involved in marriage samskar. But Srila Prabhupada is such a merciful Acharya that he would get his disciples personally, get them married. He would cook. There's a story in Prabhupada Lilamrit that when Janaki was getting married to Mukunda Prabhu, now His Holiness Mukunda Goswami. When Mukunda Prabhu and Janaki Devi were getting married, Janaki Devi's sister, Jan, she flew in to assist in the marriage. And Srila Prabhupada, later on she became Jamuna Devi. But Prabhupada was himself cooking for the marriage. And Prabhupada was doing the yajna and everything. In that marriage, Prabhupada gave a class. And in that class, Srila Prabhupada said, the purpose of marriage is to be happy. And all the devotees are shocked. What is Srila Prabhupada saying? They thought Prabhupada is the purpose of marriage is to become serious in Krishna consciousness, is to make spiritual advancement. Prabhupada said the purpose of marriage is to become happy. And Prabhupada said there is no happiness in the material world. The only happiness in the material world is in Krishna consciousness. So the purpose of marriage is for husband and wife to assist each other in making advancement in Krishna consciousness. So that is the purpose of marriage. And devotees in ISKCON should get married when both the husband and wife are serious in Krishna consciousness. Before getting married, one should have some spiritual foundation and some spiritual training, so that in Grahastha Ashram also we can have discipline. But if we are very neophytes in Krishna consciousness and suddenly we get married, then the added responsibilities of marriage can seriously affect our sadhana. So therefore, these few things are important, that we should get married in Krishna consciousness to devotees who are sajatiya. They are like-minded. They should share the same ideals that I want to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. And there is definitely need of premarital training in Krishna consciousness, so that after getting married, we don't get carried away. So that is required. And Srila Prabhupada did that. Prabhupada would always say that one should first get trained up like a nice brahmachari, and then those who want, they should enter the Grahastha Ashram. And also when you enter Grahastha Ashram, you should have an exit plan, exit strategy. How can I exit Grahastha Ashram and enter Vanaprastha? That mentality should be there from the beginning. That by the time I am 50, I should be able to give more time for Krishna consciousness, Vanaprastha. So that planning should be there. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Thank you. I really appreciate you. It's synopsis you gave. Nice description, nice presentation. Nice. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. That's awesome. So let me quickly go through the chat box, make sure that we didn't miss anything. Can we say pure devotee is always satisfied but never satiated? So in regards to the first question that was asked, someone has made a comment that devotee is satisfied in Krishna consciousness but is not satiated. Means santushti hoti hai lekin tripti nahi hoti hai. There is always more and more laulyam to do more. So that is a nice comment. Then we have Radharaman Prabhu. Krishna had already concluded in Gita that Bhakti Yoga is superior to other yogas and impersonalism. What was the need of Vyasadeva to write other literatures like Vedas and Upanishads which do not stress on Bhakti Yoga? That's why he was despondent. Hare Krishna. Aradhya Madhavi Mataji. Hare Krishna. Does studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada's books, considered devotional service? Srila Prabhupada says, study my books. Yes. Studying Srila Prabhupada's books is Swadhyaya. So that is one of the angas of Bhakti. It is one of the limbs of devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami mentioned 64 limbs. One of them is Swadhyaya, Shastra Swadhyaya. Regarding the previous question also, that Srila Vyasadeva is trying to cater to everyone. Everyone may not be ready to accept Bhakti as the conclusion. So for them, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha and Vedas and everything is impersonal Brahman description is also given. Who is eligible to stay in Vrindavan Dham? When our Guru gives us permission, then we can stay in Shri Vrindavan Dham. How to know that what we are doing, thinking is good or bad? By tallying it with the Shastra. What is the Shastra saying? What is Veda Vakya? By comparing it, by tallying it to the verdict of the Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. If it is in agreement with the words of the Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, then it is good. If it is contrary to what Guru, Sadhu and Shastra are saying, then it is not good. Ma manusmara yudhyacha. Somebody has commented like that. Remember me and fight in this world. So I think we covered everything. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Sorry it keeps going late every time. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol.
Hari
Thank
Hari
you very much.
Bol.
We'll
Thank
meet
you,
on
Prabhuji.
Tuesday.
Hari Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Kalpataru Vaishnava Kripa Sindhu.